I would now like to introduce you to a software package that's typically used in commercial real estate, maybe about by 50% of the market, to help model leases, because there are a lot of different components moving around, and if you have properties that have a lot of leases, oftentimes it's easier to have the computer track them than for you to try to model it in Excel. What you have to remember for Argus, particularly when you're at Miami, is that if you are not on Miami's network, then like off campus, you need to make sure you connect through a VPN first. So the VPN that Miami provides is Cisco Anytime Connect. So we'll double click on that. We will try to log in here. Okay, great. Then you want to pull up your browser, and there is a URL to get into Argus. This URL is provided in the Canvas announcement on the homework, but you can use this right up here. Use the username and the password that I've given you in class, and you sign in. And you'll be taking this page. We'll select FSB Argus. It'll launch. Takes us to a remote desktop. Where we will go over and select Argus Enterprise. Double click on that. And Argus should pull up for us here momentarily. Okay, now that we have Argus open, what we need to do is to go to File, and what we're going to do is create a brand new portfolio. So we click on that, and we can just give this a name. Give it a name that you'll recognize because it's going to be in there with a bunch of your other classmates. So just use something you can identify. Okay. And hit OK. And now it takes us to this page here. And again, with any sort of item that we're trying to enter into Argus, we need to tell Argus that we need to add something. In our case, we'll need to add a property, and typically there's be a little card or button up here that says add something. We'll push on that, and up will come this box here. And so then we get to choose exactly what type of property type we're going to do. Let's just choose office, and we'll hit next. And this information box will come up, and what I recommend you do, it's not so critical for this homework, but if you're doing this in real life, you want to fill this in as much as possible, because oftentimes what happens is that you'll be working very intensely on a property, and then for some reason that deal will go cold. You'll put it down, work on something else, and come back to this property a week, 2 weeks, a month later, and it just helps to refresh your memory as to exactly which property this is. So we're going to start out, and we will just come up with a name for the property. We just call this anything, Red Hawk Office, and we'll go down. We want to start, and this is pretty important because it tells the analysis when it begins, tells Argus when to start the analysis. So for our purposes, let's just do Jan 2024, and we want an analysis of, let's say our hold period is, we can go 6 years. So let's go here. There's 6 years. And now we'll just put in an address. We can do 800 East High Street. That's in Oxford, Ohio, country, United States, 45056, 45056, and we can hit finish. So this is the basic screen for Argus, and you'll notice it's sort of divided into two. On the top we have a report section, and on the bottom we have an input section. Okay, and you can see that up on the top ribbon we have these yellow buttons, and they're highlighted orange because they've all been selected, so they're visible. So if I think this actually gets a little bit cluttered for my look. And typically the first thing I do is to input data. So I want to get rid of the reports. So I just go up here and I click report button, and the reports basically disappears. And I'm now just looking at the input page. So again, if I want to, maybe I'm done with the inputs and I want to take a look at the reports, I'll click on the reports button, declick the input, and there are my reports. Now notice, or I want you to notice that every time you click on either report or inputs, you'll have this main line of tabs up here. And each one of these tabs typically has sub-tabs. So let's see, if we click the property reports, you can see that there's a bunch of different reports underneath that. So we can click cash flow or cash flow as of, executive summary, etc., etc. Another way to basically bring the inputs or bring the reports back is you'll have a little button here. So we're in the reports view right now. If I want to bring the input back, I just click this. Boom. There's the inputs as well as the reports. But for our purposes right now, we're going to do some inputting. Let's get rid of the reports, and we are back at the Red Hawk office.